Somehow close ties to Russia because I always admired their weightlifters. When I was a little kid, I was 14 years old, and I was in Vienna at the World Championships in weightlifting. And there was a guy by the name of Yuri Vlasov that won the heavyweight weightlifting championships. He was from Moscow. And he was kind of a motivator for me and why I was getting interested in weightlifting. And ever since then, I was fascinated by the Russian weightlifters. If it is Chaputinsky, Alexiev, all of those guys were really the best of the best, and I watched all of them lift. So they were kind of an inspiration to me. So this is kind of a tie, but we've also done Red Heat, the movie we shot the week in Moscow. And then I was governor of the great state of California, and I got a visit by President Medvedev, and then I showed him around in California, and then he invited me to come to Moscow, which I did when I was governor, and we had a wonderful time together here, trying to bring some business to Russia. But then in any case, I always look forward to going to Russia and to visit Russia, but I've never been here. This is the first time that I've been here. And this is the wildest thing. Let me tell you something. I had a lot of dreams in my life, but I've never ever dreamt that one day I will be asked from all over the world to talk about success and to pump people up and to let them know that anyone and everyone can be a winner. I thought that when you win the bodybuilding championships, then you get asked to do seminars or lectures about training, weight training, and about nutrition and fitness. Then you think that when you do movies, you get invited to talk about movies. And then I was governor, then of course you think you're getting invited to talk about political stuff, or about climate change, about pollution, how do we get rid of pollution and so on. But I never thought that I would be asked all over the world to come and to talk about my secrets to success. Now, of course, you can go very quickly and say the secret to success is, you have 22-inch biceps, you have an Austrian accent, you kill predators with your bare hands, and you're able to travel back in time as a machine and to change and save the human race. So this is kind of the short version of how to be successful. But this is not really the answer. The answer is that there are several rules to success. And I was asked to talk first for a few minutes, standing up, and then we're going to sit down here on some chairs and answer the rest of the questions. But I'm happy to stand here and talk to you because this is actually my favorite to do. But the first thing I want to just tell you is that no matter how much you try to be successful, if you don't have a vision, if you don't have a goal, you have nothing. So to me, that is the most important thing that you need to have, is a vision and a goal. And I tell you how I discovered that is because when I was a little kid, I hated being in Austria. I hated being in our little village. I hated growing up there and to see, I was born after the Second World War in 1947. And there was misery in the country. There was no food, there was starvation. Everyone was angry because they lost the war. And so that's how I grew up. I couldn't wait to get out of there, but I did not know how. And then one day, when I was 10 years old, I saw a documentary in the school about America. And there I saw the Cadillacs driving on a freeway, and I saw the 6-lane highways and freeways. I saw the high-rises, the Golden Gate Bridge, Hollywood, Muscle Beach, and all of those kind of things. And I said to myself, that's where I want to be. And then just like luck has it, a few years later, when I didn't really know how to get to America, I saw this bodybuilding magazine of this guy, Reg Park, on the cover. And Reg Park was doing Hercules movies, and the title said on the cover, Reg Park, how he became Mr. Universe and then Hercules. I bought the magazine and I read the magazine from the front cover to the back cover 5 times, 10 times, 15 times, 20 times, as many times as I could. And I learned and remembered everything that this man did, how he trained, how he became European champion in powerlifting and in weightlifting, how he became Mr. Universe, how many hours he trained, what exercises he did. And all of a sudden I saw my vision. I saw myself as another Reg Park, that one day I will be in London winning this Mr. Universe competition. And I saw it very clearly in front of me. There was no one that could get me off that thought and that vision and that goal. And to me that was the most important thing, because now I had a mission. Now I had the vision, I had the goal, and I knew exactly what I'm going after. And from that point on, everything that I did in my life became easy, and it became enjoyable. As a matter of fact, it became so enjoyable because every time I did a set, every time I did a rep, every time I did another 500-pound squats, or another 1,000 sit-ups, or push-ups, it didn't matter what, I knew every time I exercised it was one step closer to that goal. So people always were wondering, why is it that Arnold walks around in the gym and is so happy? Everyone else looks like going from machine to machine really seriously, and I was always laughing. They say, what's going on with him? He's always smiling and laughing and having a good time. And I was telling people, when we were filming Pumping Iron, I was telling people, I said, because I am looking forward to the next set. I'm looking forward to lifting another 500-pound squat. I'm looking forward to doing another 700-pound deadlift. I'm looking forward to doing another 20 or 50 chin-ups, because every single time I do this exercise, it gets me one step closer. And you know something? It worked. By the time I was 20 years old, I became the youngest Mr. Universe ever. I went to London and I was exactly on that stage where Reg Park was on. I was on that stage, holding that trophy in my hand. And all of a sudden, this vision that I had turned into reality. So, you know, we learn from sports. So I realized that because I had that vision and because I had that joy and the determination, that's how I became successful in bodybuilding. That's how I won this championship, that's how I won the Mr. Universe the following year again, and the Mr. Universe the following year again, and again and again, and I won 13 World Bodybuilding Championships with that idea of chasing my vision. This is why I always say to people, in sports you learn everything. I mean, imagine that in a study in America, the study showed that 74% of the people hate their jobs. Imagine 74% of the people hate their job. So you work in the morning, you go to work in the morning, you work until night, and you hate that. It's because they don't really do what they want to do. Because they never really chase their vision. Otherwise it's impossible. If you have a vision, if you say to yourself when you're 15 years old, you say, I don't want to become a doctor. Then you go to school, you go to medical school, and you work your way up until you become a doctor. You are happy when you're a doctor because you're doing exactly what you always set out to do. It doesn't matter what it is, if you're a mechanic, or if you're a hairdresser, if you're a makeup artist, or if you're building houses, if you set out that I want to be the greatest builder in homes and houses and apartment buildings, and that's what you do, we're going to be happy. But you got to know where you want to go. You can have the best airplane in the world. You can have the most sophisticated ship in the world. But if the captain or the pilot doesn't know where to go, you're not going to end up anywhere, or most likely in the wrong place. And this is the way it is in life. And this is why I always tell people, the number one and the most important rule is that you know exactly and visualize where you're going. Without that, you have nothing. Without that, it is very hard to go to work in the morning. It's impossible, because you have to grind it out, you're unhappy with your job and everything like this. So chase your vision. And this was not just in bodybuilding, it was the same also when we did movies. I remember there was a scene when I did Conan the Barbarian. I was in Spain, and we were filming the scene where I'm crawling on all four. I was down on the ground, it was like rocks, and I'm crawling on those rocks. My elbows were bleeding, my knees were bleeding, and I was doing this 10 times back and forth with a sword in my hand, and I was crawling on those rocks. And after 10 times, the director said to me, Arnold, can you do me a favor, please? Can you do one more time? I need a close-up of your face when you crawl. I said, yeah, anytime, no problem. I said, you tell me how many more times you need me to crawl. He says, no, I don't want you just to do it one more time because I know you're already bleeding. You already hurt in your knees and elbows, I see it. I said, don't worry about it. I said, the pain is temporary. I said, but what we're gonna have on that screen is permanent. And I saw on that screen the finished scene. I saw the finished scene when I crawled up to James Earl Jones, to Thulsa Doom, the man that killed my father in a movie. And I saw that scene, me crawling up from behind him and getting up, taking the sword and chopping his head off. Getting revenge. And that scene, the way I saw it, was so beautiful that I did not feel the pain on my knees, I didn't feel the pain on my elbows, climbing on those rocks and crawling on those rocks. It meant absolutely nothing to me, because the only thing I could think about was my vision. What is the scene going to look like when it is finished on that screen? So with everything that you do, it brings great joy when you know what the end product is going to look like.